will carry on the legacy of the father. The father was a teacher, also a graduate of this college some years back. It is none other than Ruth Berry. And Ruth comes from Bougainville. Okay, we continue. Amy Deckers. Amy comes from New Orleans province. Okay, the next on our list is Brenda Bono, and Brenda comes from Central and East New Britain province. The next on our list is Lonel Donny, and Lonel comes from the New Orleans province. The next person is Ravu Leonard Yavu, and Ravu comes from Central province. The next is August Erimas, and August comes from East New Britain province. Okay, the next is Selena Esarike, and Selena comes from Eastern Highlands province. Okay, the next is Tracy Gideon, and Tracy comes from Morobe province. Okay, the next is Rachel Osaya, and Rachel comes from Bougainville as well as East New Britain province. The next is Trista Igawa, and Trista comes from Eastern Highlands province. The next is Nande Eric Ipu, and Nande comes from Southern Highlands province. The next is Heather Jack, and Heather comes from Eastern Highlands province. The last for this row is Hilson Jihama, and Hilson comes from Pacific province. Okay, we continue. Wesley John, and Wesley comes from West New Britain province. The next is Bobby John, and Bobby comes from Eastern Highlands province. Okay, the next is Delilah Jove Mimpo, and Delilah comes from Eastern Highlands province. The next is Melinda Judah, and Melinda comes from Morobe province. The next on the list is Melchior David Kappa, and Melchior comes from Pacific province. Sorry, Medan province. I'm sorry. Okay, the next is Dillins Jr. Kapo, and he comes from South province. Oh, sorry, he doesn't come from Sonoma province. He is from New Ireland province. The next is Benedicta Kisiaku, and she comes from the autonomous region of Bougainville. The next is Rusila Ipua Koibi, and Rusila comes from the Gulf province. The next on the list is Delme Koniana, and Delme comes from the autonomous region of Bougainville. Okay, the next is Clemencia Cora, and Clemencia comes from Simbu as well as Bougainville province. Okay, the next is Olivia Lowe, and Olivia comes from East Pacific province. The last for this row is Jerry Lucen, and Jerry comes from Medellin province. Okay, the next, let's continue. Raymond Magill. Raymond comes from East New Britain province. Okay, the next on our list is Joshua Manam, and Joshua comes from Eastern Highlands province. The next is Justina Monday, and Justina comes from West New Britain Province. Okay, the next is Lucy Marassa, and Lucy comes from Bougainville. Okay, the next is Samuel Mawa, and Samuel comes from Malembay Province. The next is Linda Micah, and Linda comes from East New Britain Province. The next is Madahu Moses Mohi, and he is from Central Province. The next is Noelin Mokepa, and Noelin comes from Eastern Highlands Province. The next is Rodi Mola, and Rodi comes from East New Britain Province as well as Bougainville. The next is Alvin Joe Namaro, and Alvin Joe comes from Eastern Highlands Province. The next is Julius Norman, and Julius comes from the Gulf Province. The last on this row is Devo Omba, and Devo comes from Malembay Province. Okay, we continue. Bobby Opp, and Bobby comes from Eastern Highlands Province. The next one comes from East New Britain Province. She's a mother of two, and her name is Nasiel Paiwu. In this year group that are graduating, 3 of them have been sponsored by a primary school from Malembay Province. And 2 of them are passing out this year. And one of those has received his diploma already, and that is Samuel Mawa. And the second one that is sponsored by this primary school is Wilfred Paul. And Wilfred comes from Malembay Province. Casilda Peñez, and Casilda comes from East Subic Province. Okay, the next is Jackson Philip, and Jackson comes from Morgan Province. When we're doing the selection process, this name appeared and we were quite frightened by the name, the surname. And he is from Bougainville, and the name is Paul Poison. The next on the list is Naren Oruan, and Naren comes from Manus Province. The next graduate comes from East New Britain Province, and that is Elsie Michaeline Pottle. The next one on our list is Susan Rutana, and Susan comes from Bougainville. Sorry, my apology. Joe Enriquez, and Joe Enriquez comes from New Island Province. Okay, the next is mentioned is Susan Rutana, and Susan comes from Bougainville. Okay, the next is Filton Sem, and Filton comes from Manus Province. The next is Janet Sandow, and Janet comes from Manus and Southern Highlands, and the father is Pastor Timothy Sandow, who is taking the photograph. Thank you. You may be seated. Next row, please. Let's continue. Rebecca Seth. Rebecca comes from Eastern Highlands Province. The next is Alice Sigulugo Logo, and she comes from New Island Province. Okay, the next is Felicitas Silas, and Felicitas comes from Bougainville. Okay, the next is Tony Tama, and Tony comes from East New Britain as well as Central Province. The next is Veronica Tapo, and Veronica comes from Manus. Okay, Terina and Tenia comes from Oro. The next person is quite an interesting person because this is the second of the child that is graduating today. One is still doing her first year, and that is Natasha Thor. And Natasha's sister graduated last year. Another sister is also in the first year of education. And Natasha comes from Central Province. Jocelyn Tioro, and Jocelyn comes from Bougainville. Agusa Tokam, and Agusa comes from Eastern Highlands Province. The next is Moses Tugo, and Moses comes from Chiba Province. The next is Fiolera Lobo, and Fiolera comes from Central Province. The next on this list is Roma Vetuna, and Roma comes from Eastern Britain Province. Let's continue. The next name is Judy Wafe, and Judy comes from East Sepik Province. Okay, the next is Jokbet Wagi, and Jokbet comes from Central Province. Okay, the next is Barnabas Y, and Barnabas comes from Eastern Highlands Province. Okay, the next name is Teresa Wali, and Teresa comes from New Orleans Province. The next is Julie Regina Wagirai, and she comes from both Manus and Eastern Britain Province. The next is Jocelyn Warigan, and she comes from East Sepik. The next is Jocelyn Walter, and Jocelyn comes from Eastern Britain Province. The next is Taina Vemin, and Taina comes from Cebu province. Paul Gulumpita, and Paul comes from Eastern Britain province. Second last name is Leah Yomba, and Leah comes from Simbu and Manus province. The last name on our list of graduates for 2009 to receive the award is Garu Rochelle Yorio, and we are happy that the father just made it for her graduation this morning. And he's taking the photograph. Thank you, gentlemen, for helping out. While we have 143 of them graduating in person, there are 5 of them that will graduate in absentia. And I just call their name for the sake of information. Absalom Doa, he is graduating in absentia with a diploma in ministerial studies. Bruce Yagoro will be graduating in absentia in diploma in ministerial studies. Santo Awo, diploma in primary education. Obed Dadai, diploma in primary education, and Charles Henry, diploma in primary education. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to the end our award presentation. We also would like to recognize certain individuals for their academic excellence in the course of their studies here over 2 years or 3 years of their study. And we'd like to recognize that by presenting them with a certificate in excellence or certificate in academic award. We will begin with the Agriculture Department. After assessing and processing the marks over the course of their 3-year study from the Tropical Agriculture, Diploma in Tropical Agriculture, we found that Lily Wanis has been awarded the department honor of scoring a cumulative GPA of 3.01. May I invite her to come and receive the certificate. From the building department, this person has been scoring a GPA of about 3.00 for the course of 6 semesters. And so he has been awarded an award of what we call cum laude award. And that goes to Nelson Kukubo for scoring a GPA of 3.43. From the business studies course, accounting, this person also has consistently over 6 semesters has consistently scored